Welcome to the Mid-Geek Crisis. This is Joe. And
Hello again, it's Pedro.
hey, so this is our official episode 1, where we actually go to our format and we kind of go through the rhythm of what the show will be like, and we'll change things up in the future as we get more feedback from you, the viewer.
Yep.
But at this point, right now, I think the first part of our show, we will like to talk about what we've read or went through news-wise through the week.
Yeah, before that, though, I just want to say, welcome to Mid-Geek Crisis from my own perspective. And thanks to all the folks who watched us, liked us, linked us for our episode 0. I just want to make sure we send out that thank you to everybody. As you know, it's hard to start up these things, and I appreciate anyone who watched us all the way through. I know it was an hour and 20 minutes. We do love to talk. But again, really appreciate the early likes and the early hellos and the early conversations, right? That's why we started doing this, and that's what we're looking for, is those sort of online chats.
Right, absolutely. I think that was the best part. We got some engaging small conversation even on our episode 0.
Yeah.
We got a few people that you've never seen, the friends of mine that you've never heard of, and vice versa, and friends from all over the U.S. Had a couple of new followers on Instagram that kind of asked some questions about our tabletop. If you're not following us, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. I tend to post, pictures and daily kind of affirmations, I guess, of or conversation starters on a daily basis through Instagram, and they kind of filter through the rest of the services. But I think Pedro posted a nice picture of his one of his campaign setups for Sunday, and we'll talk about that later on in the show. Mm-hmm. But
now it's time for the news.
Now it's time for the news, I guess. So we'll start off, and just anyone's question. They saw me take a swig. Today I will be sampling a little bit of Hogs 3.
There you go.
So it is a Kentucky bourbon. So there you go. If anyone asks what I was drinking.
Oh, yeah, there you go, yeah.
All right. So I guess we start off with the news, like we said, and I know the big release this week was Call of Duty.
Yay.
Right. So my enthusiasm is not very big, and I know yours isn't as well. It's interesting because I remember many years ago when the Call of Duty series came out, back in the I think the original Xbox and PC, it was a PC kind of game. I remember it being more of a PC World War II shooter for a long time. And then with the Xbox 360, I think Call of Duty 2 was one of the ones that came out on there. It was like a launch.
That was a blast, man. It had a great storyline. You got to use a Thompson submachine gun. Like it had a lot of meat to its. I mean,
story. I used to play them for the campaign.
Yeah, same here.
That was my favorite part about it. And I know that they had multiplayer, and that became kind of a thing. And Call of Duty 3 came out, and then at some point in time, they kind of split up into the Modern Warfare versus like the Black Ops versus like the. I guess past versus present. Like every other year, it went through a kind of
I don't even know. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So it started. I know they had two major developers. One of them was Treyarch, and I can't remember the other one. I think they spun off and became the group that created Titanfall. Respawn. So that group left and became Respawn, and then they created Titanfall, which was probably one of my favorite shooters when Titanfall came out.
It's mind-blowing. I installed Titanfall 2 because a friend of mine bought it for me, and I'm like, well, I got to start this up. It's been on my Xbox for a while, so I heard good things about the campaign, so I'll be starting that up soon.
Yeah, so that game is kind of infamous. It was reviewed fantastically. People loved it. Everyone said it was a fantastic game, but no one played it.
Huh.
And it got to the point where, it was also the first Titanfall that got released on all systems. The first Titanfall was an exclusive to the Xbox. But again, Titanfall 2 got reviewed well. Everyone liked it, but I think it came out in the middle of a couple of other games, and everyone was playing everything else. And
just got crushed.
The developers were just like, please play us. Please play this game. And no one did. And then they practically gave it away. At some point,
that's what I think.
Weeks after it came out, it was like $20 and then like $10, and then they gave it away for free on PlayStation Plus and Xbox Gold Pass, and so hopefully we get more from those guys. I think had really good. I think my favorite point of that game was like the the capture the flag style gameplay for the original one. I had a lot of fun playing that.
I mean, we didn't want to talk about Titanfall 2 because that's really
right.
old.
So we're gonna come back circle on this. So Call of Duty is out now, and I've lost track of what number this is. They kind of add numbers. So this is like the 4th one of the Black Ops, but it's like the 27th Call of Duty in total. I can't even keep track anymore. I don't know. It probably is. I don't know. Someone will correct me. And it's not that I want to hate on the game. These developers work hard. I think you'll know. You have friends that work at big studios. Yep. I've got friends that have been indie developers and have moved on to bigger things. And I never want to sell anyone short on the work that they do for video games. But Activision really ran that series into the ground in a weird way. For me, they did for sure because the campaign kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter until, as I understand it, this one doesn't even have a single player campaign. Right.
So
right.
From my perspective, do I want to go online and just get chewed up by people? Do I want to pay extra for zombie mode, which I assume they have on every Call of Duty game now? So there's nothing in their business model that appeals to me. The 40-year-old
my gripe with this particular version of the game, and while I get following trends is what you want to do. So right now the big trend is the battle royale style gameplay. You've got games like PUBG, and then battle royale. Fortnite came out, which isn't the originator. They actually even copied the format that was PUBG. So like their Save the World campaign was the original version of the game, and the battle royale became so popular that it's kind of the primary focus for them now. I mean,
yeah.
So I can't say that they didn't copy either. They kind of jumped on the trend early on as well, and I guess improved on it. I know some people might think otherwise, but the free to play model was kind of the way it went. You don't pay for anything on the battle royale version,
except those sweet skins,
except the sweet skin, or at least the V-Bucks, right? Which is interesting because the game does give you V-Bucks if you play the single player version. There's lots of ways to get lots of V-Bucks in the game. So so it's not impossible to play the game without paying money. I've got friends that have never given it a dime, and they play every night and they love it. And they've got all sorts of skins because they grind.
Yeah.
Right. I every season have been purchasing the battle pass, and that to me has been my version of giving developer money.
Right. It's like paying a slight subscription, right? And what is that, a season? You get like 3 months?
Yeah, so I think I buy the big one. So the battle pass plus the tiers, so it gives you like a couple, so it's like $20 is what I end up throwing.
It's because time is money, friend, right? It always comes
right.
back to you've got a little bit of money, so you can save yourself some time by buying the battle pass, and
right.
Your friends who grind it out, they've got more time than money, so they grind out for the good things.
Right. So the interesting part about, I don't want to turn this into a complete Fortnite talk, but their business model was free and pay a little bit, but it's all cosmetic. And I think the part that bugs me about this Call of Duty game, and again, I haven't played it, so I'm going to get all sorts of comments on it, which it's fine. Please give me comments and say that, no, you're enjoying it. But the game is $60. It's $59.99. And if I'm not mistaken, it's still considered beta. Like, the game is not complete. They're still adding stuff to it, just like the Fortnite model. It's not a complete game out of the box. But you're paying $60, and they also still have, like, buying DLC and season pass and all sorts. So I'm very confused on what makes is it refined more? I've heard good things from the people that have played it. They say
the gameplay videos look great. Folks appear to be having fun. They're blasting each other and jumping off bridges and shooting each other in the sky, and medals are popping up everywhere as they play it, right? But
right. So again, we'll touch base on this maybe in 6 months from now and see if anyone's still playing the game. But is that their model? Is Activision saying this is going to be the definitive version for the next 2 years, and we're just going to keep adding to it? I mean, you paid $60 for it. Are they going to do another battle royale? So this model of game isn't meant to be a yearly thing. I mean, Fortnite has been adding seasons and adding to the game for the past year.
Yeah, but Fortnite. Let's be honest here. Fortnite was a beta, right?
It's still beta, right? Like you log in, it's beta, at the top. So,
and it's working really well for them to stick with the beta. And every time I log in to Save the World, I'm always like, when will this stop being a beta? Like, do they have a timeline? Have they even announced
And
anything?
I think they make themselves feel safe by putting the. It's kind of like Gmail, right? Like Gmail was beta for like 10 years before they finally took the beta tag off of Gmail. I don't know if you remember that. That was a big
I don't
deal.
remember that. Wow,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. There was a moment like 10 years after Gmail had come out that they finally took the beta tag off of Gmail,
Huh.
which is interesting because it kept them safe. When they put the beta tag on there, it meant that they didn't have to support it in any major way. So Fortnite is interesting because the beta tag, I guess, protects them in that, but people are still spending money. I mean, I don't know. I
Tons of
just feel
money.
like the beta tag should be removed, and it should just be like any old MMO. I
I
think.
think I feel like I mean, yeah, because I think a lot of that is also because when you've got these console players that are not familiar with the MMO model, right? So or are just not learning it. I guess. I mean, World of Warcraft was essentially a beta or a
Right,
model of beta forever, right? They were always improving it. They had a patch every Tuesday. I guess I'm showing my age here. I don't know if they've changed the day that they patch things, but
right,
it used to be patch Tuesdays, and you couldn't even get in some days because the patches were so big and horrible.
right.
But like as a MMO player coming from that PC world, we were all kind of used to this sort of rotations where your skills were up and then your skills were gone, you got used to it, right?
Right, and I think
The
every
weird thing for me is that because I also had console games, I would come from Nintendo where you put it in and you play it and boom, done. There's no
right.
improvements coming. There's nothing. If something worked a certain way and you didn't like it, you just have to deal with it. The MMO model, you can type out something on the forum and try to get it changed, right? And it would be
Well,
changed
everything, all
later.
of that changed, right? I want to say the 360
The
era,
online updates.
the online update, when a game was no longer complete. If there was a game started becoming more expensive, they became harder to code. So they'd release these games because if they didn't release them, they'd never get released, right? Because they
Right.
were so hard, and they'd release a game, and there's day one patches now. There's fixes for slowdowns and whatever. Who knows what? I mean, the PlayStation 3, PlayStation, and Xbox 360 both had games that kind of led us to the incomplete game, and that kind of brought me down to where we are now with games like a lot of the Call of Duty and Black Ops, and a lot of and again, to segue this, Assassin's Creed. It's the Assassin's Creed genre of game, the story driven campaign.
Yeah.
There was a lot of flack that a lot of those games would get released because they had to pump one out every year.
Was it? Which one was it? Was it? It was Unity.
Unity, the
Unity
first
was
one
the
on
French one.
the
Yeah.
next gen, right? The
Mhm.
first one on the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4.
That's right. That was Unity. Yep.
It was Unity, and it looked absolutely beautiful. Like I still remember, even on the Xbox One, jumping inside of the cathedral, and going in front of the what is it, the what's the church in the Notre Dame?
Yeah. Notre Dame's one of
And
them. There's a lot, but
a
yeah.
lot of them, but one of them where the sun would come in and you'd actually get all of the light coming in, but it would like grind your Xbox to like a halt because it was like the you could see the developers were like, "Ooh, new toys! Let's push the system," and then they realized, we can't do
push it
that.
that hard.
Then they patched it and they removed a lot of the polish or the graphical push to make the game run better. And then they learned,
Spider-Man and puddles all over again. Reliving this.
right. So,
But I will say, just for the record, Assassin's Creed Unity, maybe like 8 months after launch,
fantastic game.
that's when you buy a game. And I loved it. I mean, I loved it. I always tried to get all my friends to play. I wanted to play multiplayer, couldn't get them on as often.
Right,
because it's 8 months after. This is my world. But
right, they've all moved on to the bigger, better thing, right? And
probably the newer Assassin's Creed, right? That by that time, the new one's already out.
Well, that was interesting because Unity came out, but at the time that it came out, it was at the launch of the systems, and they released Unity, but people were still playing the re-release of Assassin's Creed 4, the Pirate War.
Black Flag, yep.
Yeah, Black Flag, and everyone loved it because by that point, they took a game that was complete from the 360, ported it over to the Xbox One, and made it look even prettier. And everyone was playing that, and everyone was like, "Oh, it's so great! You got the pirate ships in like high definition now, and whatever."
But then everyone does the day one mistake where they buy a game and they think they're getting a perfect object, and instead you're getting the beta model, right? You get the first edition.
And I know from personal experience that Pedro loves to give money to developers for beta. That's his favorite thing. As a matter of fact, he jumps on every beta that comes out, right?
No, not anymore. Not anymore. Although I did with Fortnite, sadly, right? I played the Battle Royale. I enjoyed it. I wanted to give him some money, and I wanted to buy the Save the World and then buying the Super Deluxe, Super Duper bit. So,
but that was an
interesting one because into it.
We knew that one was going to be in beta for like forever because it was an early access game. And so that was either play it now or never play it. Because, like we've learned, it's still in beta. Like if we had waited, we'd never play it.
We still wouldn't be playing it.
Right.
Who knows what else we'd be playing now if we weren't playing Fortnite? If the entire world wasn't playing Fortnite right now, what would we be playing? I guess is the
right. So this Assassin's Creed game that just came out, which is getting amazing reviews, and again, I haven't picked it up, but this is a follow up to Origins. At least it's not. I don't know what the chronological order. I've lost track of how the story goes on these games, but I know that Origin was the first Assassin's Creed that they skipped a year. So they skipped a year. That's
right. They regrouped after
Syndicate. Waited a year, released Origin, and then I felt like Origin was there, but they were always working on what it is now, Odyssey.
And Odyssey's blowing everyone's mind.
Right. So one thing that I have to note, Ubisoft, those French developers, found out how to make women in the game.
Oh, okay. Well, Syndicate was great. Syndicate had some great female characters.
Right, but if you don't remember, there was a news story a few years back that people kept asking before there was any of the women characters. They said that it would be too hard to add a woman.
Oh, I do remember that.
Remember that. So then they finally added a woman. So now they always ask, why can't we have the same storyline and just choose a male or a female? And they were like, it would be too hard to do that. So that they've now accomplished it.
They cracked the code.
They cracked the code.
Now maybe all games will have women.
Yeah, right.
And then the next one maybe we'll get like anything we want to play. Right? We can get any race, any person, any way they look. It doesn't have to be the angry white guy, right?
Right. Angry.
Different.
I don't know why everyone just doesn't follow the Fallout model. I mean, I know other games have done it, but Fallout was one of my favorites that had the really good character creator. I think you could pretty much make anybody. I think most people played with the character creator for hours before.
Bethesda? Oh, I'm going to get yelled at if it's not Bethesda.
Yeah, it is Bethesda, absolutely.
Because you could do it also in Skyrim, where you could play like a lizard dude, right?
Right. So Skyrim, and of course, I call it the Fallout one because it's the one that I really have enjoyed as of recently. But Skyrim, you can be a lizard person, you male, female. I think there's 4 races.
It doesn't seem hard to. I guess like if you need to change the body type, that requires a whole new level of programming. But I'm like, for 50% of the population, maybe you should consider just investing a little bit in a different level of programming. But colors doesn't seem like it shouldn't be that hard, right? Textures, you just pop it in there. You'd probably have a big old recipe book on how to do it, I imagine. Then some developer coding so that you could just change the face. But yeah, I mean, it's really important to the story that they look a certain way, I guess, unless they figure out how to crack the code, which they finally figured out how to crack the code.
Well, Mass Effect, I think, I guess everything that BioWare did for a while was pretty revolutionary in the male-female
Fable, aliens, do whatever you want to do.
Fable did it too, right? I think even someone out there, please. I feel like
Fable did do it. Someone
post in the comments or whatever, and tell me what was that first game that you remember there being male, female. I remember Fable was kind of controversial, right? Or in a sense that you could sleep with anybody. I remember sex in a game. Oh my! But being able to have relationships as a male character or a female character, and you could have relationships with a male or female. And I know,
was it Bethesda though? I mean, I feel like
Bethesda did it with Inquisition.
Fallout 10,000 years ago. Fallout 1.
Where was it?
You could play a male or a female. You could play as a male or female.
Not just playing as a male or a female, because I mean, many games have been able to play as male or female
and pursue relationships any direction you wanted to go. Is what I remember in Fallout. Yeah. Huh.
To
be good or bad.
The top-down version of Fallout?
Yeah, the top-down version. I remember it. I mean, maybe I remember you being able to pursue relationships, and I can't remember if you can actually have like a same-sex relationship, but in my head, I've rewritten it, right? So now it's true. It's facts.
Well, I know BioWare did it really well. I mean, especially with Mass Effect. I mean, it was almost like
BioWare Blue Minds.
Yeah, well, right. We had a female shepherd and male shepherd. Female shepherd, which in my head is canon shepherd.
Canon shepherd, for sure.
Shepherd, female.
Renegade also, for the record.
Renegade, huh? Okay. All right.
Yeah, we could devote an entire episode to it,
Right,
but
to Mass Effect.
I still have bad feelings about the decisions I made in Mass Effect 3 to save the universe. I still have bad feelings about it.
Yeah? Does it keep you up at night?
It does. I mean, would I do it again? And yeah, I would. Would I kill some of my friends to save the universe in this game? People that I've played with for years. Yeah, I made some real renegade choices in Mass Effect 3.
And that's really good about developers. Like, if that means they did a great job.
Yeah, they did.
And there was only 3 Mass Effect games, right?
Yeah. Three that I finished, sadly, and we could. Andromeda was. I knew I was in trouble when it was like, go fetch this thing that I've left on the planet. I'm like, I'm the fucking Pathfinder, man. You're gonna make me like, am I the Pathfinder or am I like the fetch boy? Why are you giving me this stupid quest? Like, they presented this epic intro where you were like,
I just don't understand. They had a formula. They had a little box that they could just take that game, port it over to new hardware, and put a new character. Like, I don't understand why they decided to rewrite the whole.
I don't know. And it was a beautiful game. I wish I'd gotten into it, but I felt the same way about what is it, Dragon Age 3 or
Inquisitions or whatever. Yeah.
Or it's always seems to me a big disconnect, and I know developers have to do it because their players want it, where they say you are the leader of an entire army and you have a castle and you've got all these servants and you still got to freaking pick leaves and craft. Like, I'm just like, why is this part of your game model when I'm the Inquisitor?
Right. I find this hilarious. No matter what, people love crafting in games.
Oh, dude. I like it too in some games, but it doesn't make any. You know what I like doing? I like going into a menu and telling my servants to craft things for me.
Right.
I love doing that.
The RTS model, right? Like
the RTS model.
Yeah, just like, Zug Zug. Yeah, yes, sire. Zug Zug.
Thank you for the 12 iron ingots. I'll make you a beautiful sword. Like, okay, great. I'm going to go slay a dragon because that's what I'm here to do.
Let me come back in 20 minutes. Give me a timer and see. Look, we've just written a game there. Like, I don't understand. Like, give me an adventure game where I've already got servants at some point. Like, if I'm already this, amazing hero, like, why do I always have, like, I get the bootstrap story, but how many times has it been told? Just give me, like, let me be, if you're going to let me choose a character, kind of like in D&D, right? Like in D&D, you can choose your background.
Yeah.
You could be like homeless, or you could be like a paladin with like servants. Well, give me the servants,
Give me the servants. Or figure out how to make it so that eventually you just create game models where if I don't like crafting, I can just avoid it. And if someone wants to do it themselves, maybe give them a bonus. They get +1 to damage or something, where if they make the effort to go through all the menus and collect all the goods themselves, then they get a better sword. That's fine. I'm willing to make that sacrifice so I don't have to craft stuff in games all the time.
Yeah, no, totally. And again, we're talking about developers. The game is coming out. The game that we've all been waiting for is coming out.
Red Dead Redemption 2,
yeah.
Everybody. That's going to blow some minds. I mean, we've been talking about Red Dead Redemption for what seems like 10,000 years.
Right. Or I like to call it Grand Theft Pony.
Oh, come on.
No?
Come on. So I mean, did you finish Red Dead Redemption?
I did not. And I did not. But you know what? I picked it up recently. I bought it again, and I know that it's backwards compatible. And that was one of the reasons I bought it, because, I've got an Xbox One X.
Yeah, sure.
Everyone's like, pop it in. It's the best way to play it, since there was no PC port. So it's that version of the game upscaled on the new Xbox One X makes it look better than any version of the game. So
I might have to pick it up then, because it was great on the Xbox.
It's like $10 or like $5.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I hate rebuying games, and I know Rockstar has
so if you have it, it's just using the Xbox One version, like the Xbox 360.
Oh, really?
So just pop in your Xbox 360 version, and it'll download the patch that you need to do everything to whatever.
All right, so to my great shame, or to no one's great surprise, when I got an Xbox One, I sold all my Xbox 360.
So, again, if you haven't noticed, all the stuff, very little stuff. That means that I keep pretty much everything. I am not a game trader. I don't trade in my games. I like to put them on a shelf and they look pretty so that I can look at them for many years and they collect dust.
Didn't I surprise you one day by bringing over all my game systems and being like, Joe, do you want this? Take this. Play this on your stuff. I gave you what? PlayStation,
you gave me a box of Magic
consoles that I was like, I don't play these. You want them?
Yeah, so you gave me a box of like a bunch of old consoles and like
all the old cables.
Oh, it was excellent.
I was like, get them out of my house. Yeah. But I Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, like, they've done the 2-hour previews, they've done the 4-hour or 5-hour previews with these game reviewers.
I have watched none of it.
Oh my God, really?
I have watched none of it, and again,
I've watched some of them twice because
So that's funny because you know me as the person that watches like every trailer like 50 times for movies and everything, and for some reason this game I want to play it really bad because it's Rockstar, right?
Sure, you got to play it,
but at the same time, it's story driven, and I feel like if I'm going to watch someone play the game for 5 hours, I know that the game is probably going to be like 100. 200 hours, it's Breath of the Wild long, is I'm hoping is what they're giving us. But at the same time, like I want to be completely surprised. I don't want to know of any mechanic. I want to be able to have that Christmas morning opening of that, like, oh, what the horses.
This is that like that's that spoiler mentality you got here. You can't have anything spoiled. For me, I'm like it's like
we're completely the opposite most of the time.
Thanksgiving and just taking a little taste of the foods, like being like, oh, that mashed potato is going to be good later. I can't wait to really eat into it. So it's one of the few games that I'm like super, super excited for. I can't wait. They did the pre-order thing like 4 months ago, and I was like, I'm not going to pre-order it because I have no idea what I'd be pre-ordering, right? And then they started leaking. I got to give Rockstar credit, right? Because at first I was like, they're not talking about this game. I'm a little worried. And then they just give you these like little snippets, little nuggets, little 2 hours here, 4 hours there, and the reviewers are going nuts over it, right? They can't help but talk about all of the crazy stuff. I mean, 200 animals you can hunt, and the physics and the amount of details. I can go into some of these details with other folks, but like they are. The weather has effects on people's bodies, if you will, on the animals' bodies and how the animals behave, which is a level of open world detail that I don't think we've seen yet.
I think the funny conversation we had was they distinguished male and female horses.
Yeah.
Right. And which is completely interesting to me. I never thought about it, and it's the attention to detail that this game
didn't
has.
Ask for it.
No one asked for it.
I didn't know I wanted it until they
and again, I think we had this conversation. It's like I want to know the developer, the one guy at Rockstar that was like, it is your job to make male and female animals, and so that texture or modeler had to model, male horse genitalia, and they had to sit there and like make realistic. And I think the
you gotta research it. You gotta like download images. You gotta do it at work all day long. You gotta do like not safe search Google terms to find it without like
triggering. He's gotta like notify every supervisor. By the way, guys, I am searching for horse genitalia today at work.
Yeah.
So
please, you just don't tell anybody. But I gotta do it for my job. Typing it in, getting it just right, and then the art guy comes in and he's like, "Oh no, not good enough. Not good enough. I want him to look like these." Please. Picture his hand.
Oh no!
And it's crunch time, and he's spending 150 hours a week working on this perfect image. And then someone like me comes in and is like, "Oh my god, they're affected by the weather. That's amazing."
So I'm excited since they made such a big deal about that. I'm excited for like the 4K roundups of like video texturing, and they're going to show and like they're going to zoom in, and we're going to get like 4K horse testicles, and it's going to be magical. And
it's the future we all wish we hadn't asked for, but we have.
Oh my god! Oh man, leave it to Rockstar, man. They're the only
groundbreaking.
There's
probably going to be a quest. You're going to meet some guy who's going to talk about it and make sure that they're going to make sure that you notice this in the game. I'm sure. I'll put money on that.
I'm sure. So another game that just because gaming news, from the smaller side of things, I guess would be I picked up a game, which we could talk about this in my gaming roundup, but
Sure.
I think this one's a big one for me, only because it's something that I think has been lacking. Uh, I picked up a game called it's Astrobot Rescue.
Okay. Yeah.
I might have talked about it a little bit last time around. I've been playing a lot more. That's what I've been playing. But I think the VR future that we were sold, that said that this is going to be how gaming was going to be, for the next, 10 years or so, and they've realized that maybe it's not there yet. I think they're working. We're beta testing it, right? Like that's all we're doing.
That's the theme of this episode. We might title it the beta episode.
The beta episode, right? But this particular game, they made a platformer. Again, it was a platforming game like Mario. It was like Sony said, "What does Mario do?" And they looked at every Mario game and then said, "Let's make that in virtual reality." And it's fantastic. It's got all the polish that Sony could give.
I watched a video of it after we talked about it last week, and I gotta say I'm jealous, right? I mean, I gotta set aside some time and money and space to create that VR setup in my house, as I just don't have it yet. But these games, that kind of game really appeals to me. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, and again, it's a small title because not everyone's going to get to play it. Like it's interesting because Sony can't dump tons of money into like development to these games because the install base for like the headsets versus the actual consoles is far smaller.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they do have to invest to get people to talk about it. And that's definitely one of the games that I would have to say, if you have a PlayStation VR, please pick it up. If you don't have a PlayStation VR, my suggestion to you is go and look at GameStop and their used stuff. They tend to have them pretty cheap now. I've seen them at about $100. People buy them and then they only get 1 or 2 games with them, and then they're like, I'm going to trade this in for my next Madden game or whatever,
or Spider-Man, or Call of Duty Black Ops.
Or Call of Duty Black Ops. That's right. And they and GameStop gives them $5 for it, and then they sell it. To you.
The circle of life.
The circle of life continues. But I picked my headset up like that. I paid right around the holidays. It was almost a year after it had come out, and I think I paid only like $70 or $60 for the headset and all of that, just because.
Nice. And the PlayStation 4, right? That's the other.
Well, you're going to need a PlayStation 4. I mean, obviously. I mean,
right. That's what I don't have. That's my first step, and then the next step would be to go to GameStop.
Right. So, we talked about a story that I had shared earlier today about. So this is back to our topic about fatherhood.
Oh yeah, sure.
So again, heads up, we're still got. I think we got maybe 2 more episodes before Halloween comes about, but I've. This year, I decided to jump on it early because I hate being the father that has to run around looking for their costume. What do they want to be? So I literally started at the end of August.
Halloween is again this year?
Oh,
what?
God, what? What do you want to be? And, as a good geek father, I want to be like, I'm going to spend time. You always see those news stories about, the father that like spent like 6 months building his like alien walker, costume.
I just saw a video on that on Imgur recently where he can like load them on and carry them around. And
right. And you're always like, man, I would totally do that. And then you're like, no, I wouldn't. I don't have the freaking time for it, right? And so my kids, as usual, they want geeky stuff, so they're dressing up. And Oliver is going to be dressing up as Link. He wanted to be Link again because he's 4 years old and he's been playing Breath of the Wild for the past like 4 months. We'll talk about that one day because it's so funny how far into the game he is. He has made it to Ganon.
Nice.
He's made it to the end. But if you know about Breath of the Wild, is you can walk to the end boss from the moment you start the game.
Right.
And end the game there. But of course you have 3 hearts and no weapons, and getting there is very hard because there's all sorts of like big baddies. But he has made it through Hyrule Castle and made it to the room and triggered the end boss, and he dies every time. And he's like, Dad, I don't know what to do this. And I'm like, you need you need to get more hearts. You need to
gotta grind this out, kid.
Gotta grind this out, kid. You can't just do it. So anywho, so for the past like 4 or 5 months, he's been playing the game, and he's got a ton of hearts now, and he comes back every so often. He's like, "Can I beat him now?" I was like, "You might be able to. Go for it." So he hasn't beaten the game on his own yet, but he's getting there. And I'm going to be completely surprised if he does it before he turns 5. That my 4-year-old beat Breath of the Wild, and that's just going to be like a proud dad moment. And
you better video it because no one's going to believe it.
No one's going to believe me.
No one's going to believe it. I mean, I love you, and I barely believe this story.
I know. I know. But anywho, he wants to be Link.
That's good stuff.
And
it's a great costume.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty good. I think he'll look good. I'll put pictures on it when the day comes. And my oldest, it has to have 2 costumes. And there's a reason for that, is because one, he wanted to be Mega Man. And again, he played as Mega Man 1 year, but he was really tiny, and he wanted to be Mega Man again this year. So I was like, okay, we'll do it. But he can't wear that Mega Man costume to school because
of the shooter.
Because of the shooter.
Sure.
So they sent us a thing of rules that said that he can't be anything with weapons.
Okay.
So, I mean, technically, he could be Mega Man he cannot take the arm blaster, but then he's just
a dude in a blue suit.
Blue suit with like a. So he wanted to be something else. So we decided, Spider-Man. That's pretty good. He's been running around as Spider-Man. So I'll post pictures of all that. But he's got his Spider-Man costume, and it looks great. Like I'm really impressed with the quality of this Spider-Man costume.
So R went back and forth. I mean, I've been asking her what she wanted to be for the past 3 months, and then last week, so like 3 weeks ago, she wanted to be. She wanted to be Zeta. I don't know if anyone's familiar with Zeta the Space Girl, but she was like, "I'll be Zeta. Why not? I'll give that a try." And then she wanted to be a robot, and now she has decided she's going to be a black cat. So, so I was like, "Well, should I be a witch? Like, what's the? Why do you want to be? But she just wants to be a black cat." She goes, "Yeah, she loves it." So that's the nice thing is that that's a really easy costume to assemble in a short amount of time. So of course we're
like black leotard or whatever, and
it's in the Amazon shopping cart, but we haven't even bought it yet because we know it's going to be easy to put together.
You know that it's going to be available for Prime, right?
Just click it done.
God, we are so spoiled with Prime. I can't even.
Totally.
I can't even. 2 years ago, I didn't go on Prime. I mean, I was a Prime user, but I said, I want to go to a Halloween store and buy him a costume. And
it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare. It's an absolute freaking nightmare. I love those stores.
I hate it's the worst.
So I'm a fan of going to the Halloween stores. I like looking at all the stuff, like, look at all this makeup stuff that you don't see on the store shelves any time of the year. Except
that's fair, yeah.
Yeah, so you're like, oh, this is cool, creepy stuff, woo. But at the same time, they know that you're buying it at these special, like the what is it, the Halloween stores? What are they called? Anywho, the
spook centers. I don't know.
Whatever they have, I forgot what they're called. Anywho, everything's expensive. Everything is like so expensive. Costumes are like $80, and makeup it's so ridiculous. You walk out of there with like $200 less in your pocket, and the kid then they wear it once and they throw it under the bed. So
it's also, I want to say, I don't know. It just, and I have to. This is where we can go back to those geek dads and geek moms who put together these amazingly elaborate costumes for their kids because it's a real bonding moment, right?
It is.
Put this together, really enjoy it. We made our costume for our last year, and she was a luchadora, right? And she was in a luchadora costume, and I managed to print up the mask and put it on her. And she wanted to be a luchadora because we were reading her Lucia the Luchadora, which is a fantastic kids book. If you get a chance, read it. I forget the author's name, but Lucia the Luchadora is the name of the book. And she loved it. We wound up going to a Halloween party that weekend with her in costume after all the kids had trick-or-treated. And one of the other parents sees our run by, and he looks at me and goes, "Oh, it's so nice that you made your daughter's costume." And I'm like, "Yeah, it was a lot of fun to put it together." He's like, "Yeah, people don't do that anymore. It's so nice to like put it together, and it looks so homemade, but it's made with love." So I'm taking this as a compliment, right? And then his kid walks by, and his kid's wearing like the perfect like Disney store Spider-Man costume with the big muscles and the twip sounds and the mask. And I'm like, is he making fun of me?
So that's funny.
Is he jealous because he had to go?
I think he's jealous, I would say that because I'm jealous, right? Like every year I see all these wonderful pictures. Like you go to Reddit or Imgur or whatever, and the top story or the top share is always like that awesome parent that built their kid like the awesome costume. And I'm technically savvy. Like I've got everything at my disposal to be able to make something like that. I can totally do it if I
assume you just can't find it.
Well, it's not only that. It's like so his Mega Man costume that we're working on this year. I am piecing it together. I am building it. Like I'm making the blaster and all that. And so it'll be partially homemade. So is the Link one. I've been like painting his sword and all that. So again, it's all partially made, but there's a part of me that really wants to like go all out one year and start working on it like in June, like just like piece it together and like lights and smoke and all that, just so that I don't want to do it for fame, but I feel he would enjoy it. He would totally like love it, but I get jealous of those. So I can imagine that he was like, man, you had the time to build it. And you've done it before, when our kids went trick-or-treating, you've built costumes. Like you made her a robot costume once, I think. Or no, was it the space one, I think?
The spacesuit. We repaired it. So the suit structure was all there. We just made the changes we needed to make it work, and it lit up, which was nice. So
yeah, one of Connell's first costumes when we were up in Syracuse was a robot, and I made like sleeves with like
that's right, the little lights in it. Yeah,
lights in it, and I made that was the geekiest thing I've done. I spent time on it, it was a hoodie with like wires and stuff glued onto it to make him like a robot, and the sleeves had like metal tape on it, so it looked like he had like zany arms, robot arms.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I remember the heart was the big one because I had found it. It was a PCB, like a little circuit board with lights, and I basically made the heart, and so it would light and like pulse. So it was like a LED heart right above his heart.
I'm looking it up because that's where I keep my memory. But yeah, I totally remember this costume now. Me being like, "Holy crap, Joe! Jeez."
Yeah, and I spent time. That was a year. I mean, I wasn't working at the time that year, and I had time to actually sit down and do it. So
yeah, no, now
now I've got 2 kids, and I'm like, ain't nobody got time for that.
And I'm all like, Black Cat, yes. I mean, I was excited to try and make her something awesome, but there'll be time.
So, have you been watching any of the kids shows on Netflix? I think where's that one? I've been wanting to pick it up. It's the little girl one, the sci-fi one. Oh, what's it called? I know you've had to have seen it by now.
It's like a robot one.
No. Oh, geez, I'm gonna look it up. I have to look it up because
we've been watching Korra. We're still watching Korra. The next Avatar. What is it called? Korra.
So you've been watching Korra.
That's what we've been watching.
Yeah,
because we finished Avatar over the summer, and we've been watching Korra together. It's great. I like it. It's really different from the original Avatar. For everyone who hasn't seen it 10,000 years ago, I'm finding it to be very different. And I think R really likes it because the main character is a woman, but it's a hard plot to follow for a 5-year-old. It's a lot going on. We only watch 3 episodes a week, right? We're not binging it. She's replaced our Friday night movie nights, which we used to watch movies together, with now Korra. We always watch Korra over and over again. Even though we got to watch The Nightmare Before Christmas last weekend. That's what we watched.
Ooh, I got to sit down and do my yearly watch of
so, that. Is that a Halloween movie or a Christmas movie? I think it's a Christmas movie, but my wife is telling me it's a Halloween movie, and I'm like,
it's both. It's a movie that can bridge the gap, right? Like it's beautiful. It's both.
It's great, but you shouldn't watch it before December, in my opinion. I mean, I know you want Christmas to start in June, but like for me,
I mean, if it's got a song that's called "This Is Halloween," this is Halloween. I mean,
it's like the first 2 minutes of the film,
right? But I mean, that starts you, and so that gives it the opportunity to be a 3-month-long movie.
We're going off on a tangent here, but he literally steals Christmas. The entire film takes place in Christmas.
He steals Christmas, but then he comes back, and isn't the moral of the story to stick to what you know?
It's kind of a sad moral.
Right, it really is. He's like, you can't, don't branch out. Stick to what you
Don't
know.
try new things. Or maybe you could take it as "Don't kidnap Santa." I guess is the other one you could take. That's what Art said. Art was like, "Don't. Why did he steal Santa? What is he doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a movie. Maybe you're too young for this. I don't know."
Connell watched it very young, and I don't think he got it. So maybe this time when we watch it, he'll get it. He'll like.
You watch it after Thanksgiving, right? That's when you're going to watch it. Oh no, because you put on your Christmas hat November 1st.
I might have worn it once or twice already in
October.
The series that I'm talking about is Hilda. I don't know if you've seen it. You might want to check it out.
It's a book series. I don't know if you've taken these books out of the library. We took them out of the library, and it's a lot of fun. It's great. It's like a weird, esoteric kind of TV series, book series. But if it's anything like the books, I'm gonna love it. I don't know if R will, because they are weird.
Interesting. So
she had a lot of questions every page. It's like a neat graphic novel. Every page she had questions on.
So I didn't know it was a book, so I'm going to have to check that out. And, I know Connell would like that. But the art...
Hilda and the Troll, the Troll, or The Troll and Hilda, or something like that is the one we read.
So the show Hilda, it's a Netflix original is what they call it, at least. And, it has a very Gravity Falls kind of... mystery, sci-fi, kind of a weird world kind of thing. And I haven't watched any of it. I know my sister has. She said it's really good. So
got a little bit of Adventure Time feeling to it as well. And that they don't explain anything, right? Like weird stuff is in the. There's a moment where a log walks into her house and her mom doesn't even react to it. They just talk to it. And I'm like, well, what the heck is going on? Like but it's like a magical world that this sort of stuff happens and people are used to it and you have to figure it out.
Yeah,
it's good. It's on my watch list, right? But we've been doing Korra, and R is a product of her generation that she wants to binge it, right? So when she gets to watch things on her iPad, she's watching Power Rangers. When we do movie night, she wants to watch Korra, and those are her two rules.
Interesting. Yeah, kids have no concept of commercials nowadays. I mean, they don't get it, and we've talked about this. I think we talked about it a little bit on episode 0, where they just binge and. Again, my kids don't understand the once a week thing. They don't get it. So
no, it's distressing. And you have to have this argument every week.
Although I will say the interesting part about this is kids want to have birthday parties themed of things you cannot find. Right? So like a good example of this is
your first mistake was allowing your kids to pick the theme. I'm going to tell you right now. You need to be an autocrat. You need to be a tyrant. You need to take pages from the world leaders nowadays, and you need to just tell them how it is. This is going to be your party. So your life will be so much better, and they'll love it.
Right. So, as a good geek father, I love that they're watching this stuff, right? So they'll watch old shows all the time. Like Connell was big into the 1960s Batman movie. Batman 66, the old Batman movie, Adam West, Burt Ward.
Sure.
And he watched it every day for like 3 months. Knew every word. He was like, "Oh, that's Miss Kitka," and I'll be like, "What the?" Like he knew all of them. He hadn't watched he didn't know that it was a show. That was the Batman movie.
He became a super fan.
Right. He became a super fan just based off that movie, right? And what's interesting about that is he then wanted a Batman like birthday. And
oh boy,
but he didn't want like Lego Batman. He wanted Batman 66, the Adam West one. And so we found a mask for him, but everything else he didn't like. There was nothing like it. Like you can't find stuff based off that.
Print it? Did you print it off the web or 3D?
Well, so the only thing we ended up finding, and that's funny that I have it on my desk because I had to repair it, but it was a broken wheel. But my mother-in-law ended up finding him this little toy of and he played with this till a wheel fell off. So I ended up.
Where the heck did she?
I don't know. She found it because
like in an attic.
I don't know. I don't know.
Store.
Yeah, it's like it's. I think it's a model. It's not really
remake
played with. It's just like a plastic toy, but I mean, it's pretty cool. But he played with this for forever because this was the only thing we could find that had this Batman, not anything else.
I'm surprised you couldn't like 3D print
Well, I can now, but this was a few years back.
Oh, this was a few years back.
But again, we couldn't find any party stuff. And then another one was my youngest was huge into Ghostbusters last year, year before last. But he wanted the old Ghost, like the male version, not the female. He didn't mind the female version. As a matter of fact, he calls it Girl Ghostbusters versus Boy Ghostbusters. But he knows all the names. He watches it religiously on Netflix over and over again. He knows. For one point, he was like, "I'm Dr. Peter Venkman." He's 3 years old, and he's like, "I'm Dr. Peter Venkman," quoting the movie. And I'm like, this is, I don't know, is this age appropriate? Should I have let him watch this? But
he did,
and he watched it. He loved it, but at the time, you could again, birthday parties, you can't find anything Ghostbuster related. So
no, you cannot.
You want to find like party favors and stuff, and you go to the store. You would think, oh, the new movie just came out. Maybe I can find some of that stuff and kind of like mask. Nope, couldn't find any of it. Didn't exist.
I wonder, did the industry just disappear? Did it all go online, or is
right? So
it rotates so fast that you can't find what you're looking for. Like you go to Target and you'll see Paw Patrol in the corner, and you're like, "What? Why is this still even around? This Paw Patrol stuff?"
Right. So it's interesting because again, this goes back to the whole idea that kids are watching Netflix on their iPads and their tablets and whatever. And so there's now Netflix originals. So there's animated shows that are coming out directly to that. But another thing is a lot of the old 80s cartoons and
just out there to watch.
Well, they've dumped full seasons of it on here, and there's shows that have no merchandise whatsoever on the store shelves. Kids are binging it. And a good example is Power Rangers, right? Like you said that R is watching Power Rangers right now. And yes, there's still Power Rangers merchandise right now for nostalgia purposes for our generation. But like my kiddo went through the phase and he just wanted to watch the original one, like the Tommy, Green Ranger, all that kind of stuff. All you could find was merchandise for the new stuff, whatever new Power Rangers.
The ninja swords or the
ninja, whatever. And you couldn't find any of the old stuff, at least not kids-friendly stuff. You could find all the nerd stuff, like the
collector items.
The collector items, like the $200 dragon dagger flute for the Green Ranger. Oh yeah, I want that. No, I want that. My kid wants it, and he'd just break it the first time he hit something with it. And but
I wonder if there's like that feels like a real like beautiful white space. That if you had access to Netflix's algorithms and you're Hasbro or you're Mattel or you're one of those big toy companies that still own the molds for these old toys, and Netflix came to you and was like, listen, what we're seeing is a huge uptick in old school Power Rangers and Scooby-Doo. You might want to think about selling some toys in those lines.
I think we're going to go to that. We're going to go to that very soon. I definitely agree that that's going to happen. Other than the Netflix originals, which are very catered now because they know that they can throw stuff on Netflix and kids are going to watch it. Super targeted. So companies like DreamWorks have jumped on it and they've made every animated movie that they've released. DreamWorks, like How to Train Your Dragon and Boss Baby.
They made TV shows of them.
They've made Netflix original TV shows. Captain Underpants is something that's on rotation right now in my house.
Get me started with that one. I hate it.
Right. And a lot of potty jokes and humor, and my kid can't stop talking about farts now, and I'm like, oh God, I get it. Like I'm a dude, I should laugh about it, but we're in a restaurant, and all of a sudden they're like,
two fart jokes a day, two fart jokes.
Right. People
and Daddy gets to make them. That's
Daddy gets right. But so those are targeted, and they can make merchandise based off of those because they're made. But again, old shows like they'll dump up the entire Garfield series from the 80s and 90s, and my kid watches it and he's like, I like Garfield, and I'm like, well, I can get you an old Garfield book and you could be like, it's boring. Like I don't know what to buy you. There's nothing to do. So again,
got the 3D printer now, just 3D print a little Garfield.
Print up a big Garfield, there you go.
Make lasagna on a Monday night and you should be good.
The kiddo went through a Snoopy phase for a while because they kept watching Snoopy Comes Home on repeat from Netflix, and so they were like, Snoopy this, Snoopy that, and the only reason we found any merchandise is because they had the Peanuts movie that came out. Like,
you're such a nice father. I as you say these things, I realize that I'm a mean bee. Like I just if she watches something over and over again, I eventually come in and I'm like, you can't watch that anymore. Like, I don't let her just repeat things over and over because I'm like, you got to experience new things. You got to try. So, like, if I caught her watching Snoopy, first of all, I'd be like, okay, you know what? No. and then second of all,
strong Christian overtones. Strong Christian overtones.
On that note, though, we're a little off schedule. Should we take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break real quick, and then we'll come back and
we'll pick up where we left off.
Pick up where we left off. All right.
If you like it, take the break now.
I mean, just real quick.
Now's a good time, everyone. A quick break. Go and like us. Hit the subscribe button. Whatever you want to do. Go get a drink. How you go? But yeah, we're gonna take the break right now.
All right. All right, guys, and we're back. Again, just a quick break, stretch our legs. It allows us to kind of make sure that our computers record this because, This is kind of starting, and I do the break on purpose to kind of make sure that I don't lose the first half of the show because of a weird error. So that went a little long, by all means. We're about an hour in, and we're trying to keep this show, guys, to 1 hour. And again, we'll get this rhythm. We don't get to talk as much as we used to, so sometimes when we end up recording these, it ends up being just us catching up as well.
Yeah, that's true too.
So again, we will get it shorter. We're at an hour already, so we'll try to make it another 20 minutes, or maybe to 1:30, and then I promise we'll make it 1 hour the next episode. So bear with us.
I will promise as well to be more diligent about the time. We had such a good rhythm going. I didn't want to break it up.
Right. On that note, this show will be audio as well. We got some requests that said, hey, can we make it a podcast as well? And that was always the intention. The show, I want to make it a podcast as well. It's easier for me to have video at the moment. I am not familiar with the podcast system. We have one other person that works this show in the background. His name is Adam. That's what I'll say until he gives me the go-ahead to say if you can, name him some more. But he's helping me out with some stuff, and he knows kind of the ins and outs of maybe getting this up as a podcast. I had no idea what it took to make a podcast until I started researching it, and it's not just like, hey, audio and then upload it somewhere, because audio takes up space and they have to download it, and getting it up to iTunes. There's a whole procedure that has to happen that I didn't know about. I knew about, but I didn't know it was that difficult. And as soon as I get the rhythm down, what I'll do is I'll go back and upload all the episodes prior to this. But for the first few...
So we're working on it, and we will get there.
We're working on it. For now, again, maybe what I'll do is I'll take the audio file, and I'll take the audio of this like I normally would, and I'll throw it up somewhere, and maybe I'll put a link up for it, say, hey, if you want to download it. That might work. It'll at least give you a way to listen to it. It won't be an easy way, add it to your podcast application. So, eventually that'll happen for sure.
Good deal.
So, at this point of the show, the third part of the show, we'd like to talk about, what we're playing, and a little bit of tabletop and D&D. And we both run D&D campaigns.
Yep.
He runs one with people our age, give or take, if not older or younger.
They're all about, I want to say 8 years younger, maybe 7, 8 years younger. They're all grad students, so they're definitely younger than me.
Okay. So what would be the age range right now, give or take?
I think 30 to 35. I'm running for 30, 35-year-olds, and I'm older than that.
Okay. and I'm 35. The 30, 36. I'm 36. I'm gonna be 37 this year, and all the people that I run game with are 23 to 24 years old. So they're 12 years younger than me. My sister's 12 years younger, and they're all her friends. So, yeah. So definitely different demographic for sure.
Different expectations, different behavior, all that stuff.
Right. So what's your campaign looking like right now?
So it's October, right? So right now we're running our kind of how you say, our scary one, our Halloween episodes, if you will. I tend to run my D&D games as like seasonal arcs. You remember, right? So I would
Yeah.
constantly describe it as a TV series where I'm like, oh, imagine if this was a TV show, how it would end. I kick up bumpers at the very beginning of episodes so folks know what's going on and what to expect and things like that. So we're doing our Halloween arc right now where they were heading into a town and they thought the town was a safe place to trade. They even brought trade goods, and instead it wound up being consumed with the undead. I posted on the Instagram a picture of the town. It has since been destroyed. They blew up the church. They blew up the inn. They blew up a bunch of buildings.
Wow. So the question there, you blowing it up, are you physically removing the model? Like,
yeah, that's one of the great things about this terrain. I mean, if they blow the roof off, I just take the roof and I put it aside. If when they blew up the chapel, I took all the walls off so they could see right away that the walls were gone and things like that, which was kind of a neat sort of way to play it. And we had 2 guest stars. I have rotating chairs that I allow guest stars in. And we had 6 players, and they destroyed the town, managed to rescue the villagers, and destroy the town at the same time, which was good work.
So,
And now they're going to go into the dungeon and go after the big bad because the big bad got away.
So it's just a question here because, of course, if someone from your campaign is listening to this, you don't want to spoil anything.
I'm trying to be vague.
Right, trying to be vague.
I know at least one of them is. So.
So what's the normal party? Is it 4 or 6 players?
4. I've got ludicrously. I've got a bard, a wizard, a fighter mage. I think they're called Eldritch Knights, and a cleric, a luck cleric, not a healing cleric. So the cleric of luck, or whatever it's called.
I haven't played that, so that's interesting.
They're actually because they're more of an Oceans 4 group. They're much more heisty than combat-y. So
okay,
luck cleric because the luck cleric gets an ability to better at stealth. Like a stealthy clerk.
So more role playing?
A good amount of role playing for sure. A lot of their role playing leads to them being in combat, which cracks me up because they're so confident in their abilities, and then they roll poorly, or I roll really well, and they get into trouble all the time. But this one was mainly combat. This was a lot of combat. This particular encounter with the undead. I didn't give them much chance for role playing yet.
So you tend to do a lot of since you said it's kind of a heist group, they tend to do a lot of things. So you have to do a lot of checks, a lot of like roll your nature check, roll your arcana, all of that. And again, one of the things that I should note is the players that we play with aren't heavy D&D players. Like they're not the people that have been playing D&D from like high school and never stopped, and they're like,
they don't have all the baggage.
Right, all the baggage. They're not like heavy rules, min-maxers, that kind of stuff. They like to play the game to kind of escape for a little bit, and so they're casuals, as someone would call it. But at the same time, I like that because there's no the commitment to play is there, but it's also it's lighter in the you don't have to have the butting of heads.
Yeah, sometimes there's some butting of heads, but it's lighthearted. It's not as rules lawyery.
Right.
But I think, you've played as a player. I try to establish early off that I have to follow the rules as well.
Right.
I know some DMs run into trouble where they break the rules or they fudge the dice rolls and things like that, but I roll everything open. So my players kind of know that when I do things and things happen to them, it's not me. It's the dice.
Right.
And we all play with the dice, which leads to moments where I say often failure is fun. So even when they fail the roll, my job is to ensure that even failures lead to fun escapades and different kinds of adventures. So
right, and I think you and me are very similar in the aspect, and that's because I played with you, and I learned a little bit from you, minus from my previous time playing. But we're not in it to kill the players. Like I mean, sure, it's always fun to drop one here and there just to kind of check and balance, right? Check and balance, like make them know that we're the god. But anywho, that being said, we don't want to kill them because we want the story to continue. Because as it ends, then it's no fun. But
or if their death occurs, we want it to be a noble thing where the player can dictate it. I want the player actions to matter when it comes to those deaths. So
sure. And my group, again, they're all younger and they're all heavy video game players, right? So transitioning to a tabletop was interesting because everything is very. I have to make a lot of video game analogies in the game to get them to
I bet,
understand.
yeah.
For sure. But at the same time, there are also a newer generation where they're all listening to things like Critical Role and other D&D podcasts. And so sometimes they come with good ideas, and sometimes they're overly like, well, we're not doing it this way. And I'm like, well, but the house rules kind of thing. And I'll get into not a tangent, but kind of a question maybe on your end. And I brought this up once before, but I want to put it on record. So if this person is listening, so and just see what you think, and maybe other DMs or other players that are listening can kind of can weigh in. But I've got a specific player who argues with me very often, and it's our ranger, and they like to do. It's always the ranger. They like to do. Is it Mark of the Wild? Is that what it is?
The one where they tag the target.
They tag the target. What is it? Is it the Mark?
I think it's Mark.
Hunter's Mark. There we go. Anywho, and it's a concentration-based spell, and it lasts an hour. I think in the book, it's an hour-long spell, and so. Spell. It is a great spell, and Rangers are already so broken. I mean, so
well, they do one thing and they do it well.
They do it well. They're so broken. I can't even comprehend a character that's this low and has a +7 to attack. It blows my mind. But again, what's good for them? I got to throw a +7 Ranger at them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So I got to do that too. So sometimes I'll take their characters and roll it. Make a doppelganger just to have it in the.
Those are DM tricks. That's right from the
book. Right, that's in the book. They should know anyway. But again, the argument, and again, I want to talk about it is, what do you do? Like, what are your rules? How do you play concentration? So if a hunter did that in your game, they did it in the middle of a battle, and they called it, and now battle's over. Is Hunter's Mark still on, and can they transfer it over for an hour?
I mean, I don't think so. I think they need to maintaining concentration requires you to stay in combat, and often I think, and I have to go back and read the rules, but I don't know that combat spells carry out of combat. So there might be some that do and some that don't. But if you cast
give me an answer.
Yes, there would be some spells, but I really think that when you concentrate and you're in combat, and then you come out of combat and you loot. You check for secret doors, you take a short rest, or whatever players do after. I mean, they all have these activities they do after combat, right? They high-five each other. I think those actions tend to break concentration. So if that ranger after combat says, oh, I'm going to go and do a perception check, or do a stealth check, we should hide again, or I'm going to see if I can track them, do a survival check, then I would say that now you're concentrating on this new task.
Right.
And I say that now, right? And I know folks might disagree, but I think when spells like that, especially, they shouldn't carry over, right?
Right. I agree. I mean, that was my answer. And
but I have to go back and reread it. We talked about it before, and I think I said the same answer. I hope.
Yeah, you did. But, and I agree with you. And again, if anyone else is listening, please tell us. Say, well, give me a valid reason, and give me a valid reason to keep that. Like as an example would be if. It's not a broken spell. It's fantastic. It's super powerful. They only get to use it once before they have to arrest again. So I get the idea that they don't want to waste it. And it's an hour long for a reason. Like they give it to you for an hour, which is kind of silly because if you can only use it within combat, and combat sessions are a minute, 2 minutes, whatever the.
I would flip it, Joe. I think if this spell lasts an hour, give them an opportunity to use it again, right? So. Since they spent the resource, right, give them every so often, I don't want to say throw them a bone, but they're using it and now they want to be able to use it. So let them use it, give them another attack, have them chase down a goblin or something and use it. And then other times you spend a resource and you wind up not using it. Well, you've spent the resource, and part of the DM's job is to get you to spend resources so the final battle is a little bit more
intense, right?
Intense. Yeah. Right. And you remember, I did this to you all the time.
Yeah,
I would cheer when you guys use spells in that first encounter right at the door. I'm like, yay! I knew the third encounter was right behind the next door, and you would have a little bit of trouble. Not a lot, a little.
Right. And so it leads me to my campaign right now, and my campaign is I'm running a campaign of 6. people and group. So I've got a ranger, a rogue, a cleric, and this cleric is a cleric of light.
Nice.
I've got a warlock, a fighter, and a paladin.
A lot of spellcasters.
A
Wow.
lot of spellcasters. Well, at least they want to be spellcasters, and I want them to use their spells, but most of them tend to run in and bash. And then my fighter has a little bit of trouble kind of organizing, the whole idea of what a fighter can do, and they're just starting to get the hang of what are they called, the dice that you get. You get 4 dice.
They're battle masters.
They're battle masters. That's right. They're the battle master class. So what are they called?
Maneuver dice.
Yeah, they're the maneuver dice or whatever. They got a name. Anywho, you spend a dice and you have up to 4 before you have to do a long rest or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So they're getting that concept down of like, they're the tank, but sometimes I gotta like say, hey, you're the tank. Go out there and fight.
Yeah, it's battle masters are interesting in that they're like how you say. They're like battlefield commanders, right? Because they can give their dice to other people and get them to do things and things like that.
Right.
So
that's something that I need to remind them they can do.
Yeah. And they should be frontline commanders, or they could be backline commanders, but it sounds like that party, since you really only have the paladin and the fighter, they both need to be frontliners, right? You can't have either one of them.
I've made them that they should be. I mean, I've given them the hint as much as I can without running the game for them. My cleric really likes to be in the mix of it all. Like she wants
war cleric.
I know, but she's a light cleric, and the only reason I made her a light cleric is because they had no healer, right? Like
all right.
They had no healer, and I was like, this is a big party. I kind of want you to be the healer. If there's not someone there, then
a dedicated healer. I get it.
Yeah, there should be.
Because you've got, the ranger and the paladin can both do some side healing.
Yeah, that's right. They both have a little bit of heals for sure. Okay. The campaign that they're running through the basic campaign, the starting campaign.
Minds of Phandalin?
Minds of Phandalin. They're running through that. There's been lots of changes because, I'm catering it to them, and I've changed a couple of the names, and, they've done things in an order that, of course, just like every campaign does, it's always against the grain.
I read it for you guys, and I was surprised at the paths you took, and I definitely customized it to the party.
Right. But because it's Halloween, because it's the season, they had just finished the manor. And they had literally just finished the manor. They were walking out of the manor, and they set up camp. And so when they set up camp, it gave me an opportunity to kind of dump them into a new partial campaign. And so we're doing a Halloween campaign. Nice. And right now they're in a town, like a shadowy town that gave them a quest, and they're I guess the premise is there's a festival of lanterns going on.
Oh, all right.
And
did they just jump right in? Did all 6 of them say, all right, let's do this? Or did like 1 or 2 of them were like, how do we get back? Should we figure out how to get back? Like, was there
right? So I knew that this had to be something that I had to force them. So the way I started
convince them,
convince them. But I wanted them to kind of go into this campaign without them pushing quite, because they tried to for the first 30 minutes of the session. They were like, well, I don't know, or where did that person go? And I'm like, no. See, so I created a ring of dancing lights that surrounded them and created a path.
Oh, all right.
So if they tried to do it, then the lights started annoying them, started bouncing around them, kind of forcing them down this path. And so
you put them on a railroad?
Is that railroad is what I did. I railroad them into this path that existed where they were, and all of a sudden, they felt like they walked for hours. In reality, happened, and then they came up to a old Gothic town, kind of a Sleepy Hollow kind of looking town would be the best way to describe it. And so I won't say any more because I don't want to spoil it if you're listening to. But they're running into it, and it was a good way to start this campaign because. This particular session, because it gave me things that I'm not going to be able to get them to do in the starter campaign. Like they've dealt with fairies, and they've dealt with they're in the Fae. They've already
It's one of my favorite places to send players.
Right, because everything goes in the Fey world, right?
Yep.
Like, so that's one of the things that
They're feeling a menace as well, right? They're always
right. They don't. I've already told them time doesn't go here. Time doesn't work the way construct. Everything is weird here. Like just because you see the moon doesn't mean it's the same moon that you're used to. It's a completely different world.
It's awesome. I love the Fey.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good running. And you play like me every Sunday, right?
Every Sunday. So I've been on Sunday, and your session used to be on Mondays.
Used to be on Mondays, which I much prefer, but we moved it to Sundays for the team.
Yeah.
But it's great. I mean, the nice thing about Sundays is that I can sort of spend the day setting it up. Since I host now that the weather's cooled off, I can host them in the nerd bunker. And R gets to play with the toys, right? So Daddy's toys come out, the Dwarven Forge stuff comes out, and R gets to play with them, and she goes nuts over the terrain, right? So that's always good fun.
So the Dwarven Forge stuff, and just to kind of wrap it all up, just because you posted that picture and it looks amazing.
Well, I've got some more pictures coming up for this week for next week.
I'm excited to see some more of them. What I want to know is, and again, I'm sure anyone might ask this question as well, is I know the Dwarven Forge stuff has all been Kickstarter based for
me.
If let's say I've got $200 to spend right now. Is there any way I can get something? Do they have? Can you get anything now, or does it always just special order?
So I'll be honest. I haven't looked at their shop in a while, right? Because I don't want to say I have everything I need, but I have everything I need. I have everything I should. I don't have everything.
When I left,
so much more.
when I left Syracuse, you had ordered the castle one. They had just
and I've got the full castle, and I bought into the Dungeons and Doom as well. So I've got more. In fact, like I should pack you a box and send you some because I have so much of it.
So just to kind of if S is listening, I don't want to know if you know, but what is the budget that you have spent on this? Because this is your toy. Your tabletop is your deal. My video game stuff is mine, so I've spent way more on video game stuff by all means.
Yeah. So let's see. For Dwarven Forge and Dwarven Forge alone, and I want to be clear here, I have very strict budgets, and you know this about me, Joe. Like I set aside money for my fun hobby. I sell things, I buy things cheap, and I sell them and resell them so that I have fun money almost all the time. But let's see. For Kickstarter 2, I went in for about $300. For Kickstarter, that was the Caverns. Kickstarter 3 was the city sets. I went in for $1,400. Kickstarter 4 was the castle. I went in for $1,400, which was my limit, right? I was like no more than $1,400. And then I went in for the Dungeons and Doom, and I think I landed at around $2,000. So all told, I'm probably at about $6,000 or $7,000 in Dwarven Forge stuff. And I went back and I bought some of the old dungeon stuff that I saw cheap on the places that I go and buy things. And I spent maybe another $100 on buying some old dungeons, so that I had dungeons, caverns, city, castle, and now Dungeons and Doom. And I just went in for the latest Kickstarter 6, which was the new caverns. And actually, because I went in on the original caverns, this was a lot lower, $400. I don't imagine I'll be putting in any more unless the sets unless they do something amazing, right? Like I have dungeons, I have caverns, I have cities, and I have castles. I can't imagine I need much more than that.
Wasn't there one that you didn't go into? Like you didn't buy terrain. Like they had one where it was like what did they have they done a forest / maybe
so this latest one was forest, and they haven't put up their pledge manager yet. So I'm still deciding on what I want, right? Because I have caverns. Maybe I want forest. But the forest pieces are so expensive to get the sort of look I would want on the table. Feels like more than $400. So I'm still going back and forth as to what I want. But yeah, like they have not to disparage it, they're beautiful, gorgeous works of art, right? Well worth every penny you spend on them. But this time they had caverns and ice caverns and deep caverns, which are based on the Underdark, right? The trademarked, they look like the Underdark. And then they had the forest, and that's like 4 different settings. And I'm like, I don't need to spend money on ice caverns. You know, if they had just released ice caverns, I would have been like, oh, hook me up. But because they released all this stuff, it's sort of I had to pick and choose. I did the same thing with the Dungeons of Doom. I picked the pieces that will complement what I already have, as opposed to picking it all in. Even though I went in whole hog on Dungeons of Doom because they had some nice sets. You're gonna see. I mean, I'm setting up the dungeon now, and I'm like, do I post it? Because one of my players definitely follows. He's gonna see it. Or do I like tease it and then post it after the game? I might tease it and post it after the game.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
I'm excited for that for sure.
Yeah. But I can cover. In case folks are curious, I have enough to cover a 6x4 table from end to end with dungeon, castles, and cities.
I'm excited. Like, just in the middle of a non-play session, whenever, you should just set up and create a really beautiful, just kind of like an area. And I'd like to see just kind of a full decked out entire table covered.
All right. You know what? I'll go through my archives because I actually did it with my recent set. Okay. I tried to rebuild. I'll go back and check. I tried to rebuild an old school dungeon with all my pieces, and I almost got there. I don't know if you're familiar with old school dungeons, but they were enormous, right? They would take up a whole page, and I was trying to rebuild one, and I needed maybe like $4 or $5 more $100 worth of pieces to put on there.
Dwarvenforge, and again, the question was, can you buy it now? Like, outside of their Kickstarter, can you go on their website and say?
Yep, you can go on their website. A lot of their, I don't want to say nicer things, but often I see on their forums that things are sold out, and people complain about that because they have sort of it seems to me like a 9-month supply chain, which is brutal, right? It takes them forever to restock. But yeah, they announce restocks. Usually the restocks happen about now, October, November. And they pull in all this new stuff. So, like, if I was getting into it, I would buy like a 3-room dungeon set, because that's versatile enough that the dungeon master can sort of do 3 rooms, or like what I did with you guys, big battles, right? The big set pieces, I would set it up, and that 3 rooms would be enough pieces for that. And then you've got the supplemental 3D printer,
right?
So if you need any special pieces, I would say go with the special pieces and print them yourself.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But I love them. I mean, you see the pictures, the city scenes. I don't think they can be beat. And for me, they're pre-painted so that they're already done.
Right. And for the Kickstarter, that's extra, right? Like when you do the
yeah, you got to pay a little bit extra. But I think the price is worth it for the Kickstarter.
Well, they look really good painted. Like they're not. It's interesting. I don't even know what type of indentured servitude that these guys that have to paint all that stuff is what they're
Chinese laborers is what I assume.
I guess so. I should
check. Maybe they get them here and they paint. No, and then they paint them overseas, and then later they start painting them here. So the initial starter runs.
Just tell me overseas. That it's a warehouse full of chained up.
No, it's
players that are just
former Apple Factory employees.
Okay, there we go. It's the ones that they caught in the net.
Yeah, that's exactly it. It's set up there.
The ones that caught in the net, they're like.
Oh, that's terrible. That's. I hope you edit that out later. That's terrible.
Try to leave? No, not to the dungeon to paint dungeons.
They're beautiful though. They're worth every penny, and I feel like I pay so much. These people probably are paid. Hopefully paid well as well.
Well, I'm excited to see pictures, and again, hopefully other people are too. I think that was one of the big hits on our Instagram. That everyone loved it. They were just
more coming.
I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So I think we're going to end it here. It's a pretty long show, and by all means, please comment, share, subscribe, like, whatever. Tweet us, talk to us. We're lonely. So lonely. Talk to us, and we'll see where we go with our next show. I want to maybe get a couple topics from you guys, and then we can kind of focus it on it. Yeah. So
yeah, totally. We're looking to have a conversation, so we need some input from you folks to talk to us. Link us, subscribe us, send us links. I always like seeing those links come my way because I like to click them and see what's up, what people are talking about, things like that.
Yeah, by all means, go to our Facebook page and start discussions there. You don't always have to comment on the stories that we post, but go into the discussion post and create a post. And if you see a link or a story, go ahead and create a discussion, and that allows us to come in and comment, and then at the same time gets our followers on there. Again, our Facebook page tends to be kind of the easiest way to create a forum as opposed to like a subreddit, or maybe that someday will be big enough for a Discord channel. We'll see. But again, I think the Facebook page is the easiest way to create a small community, and then we can branch out from there.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us for an actual episode 1, and maybe next episode will be shorter. Hopefully, we'll keep it short.
We're working on the time, everybody.
We're working on the time. Again, we'll have an audio version up this time around. I'll get it for you. As that one person I know specifically that asked for it, so I will get it for you. We're listening. We promise.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Have a good week. Signing off for episode 1. Have a good one.
Thanks. Bye.